Hello and welcome to week 12, where we're going to talk about primary research, what that means, and I'm going to show you the different methods so that you can conduct it properly. And we'll also cover popular sources for day 2 stuff, but right now it's primary research talk and clicking on understanding concepts. We're just going to give you an overview of what I'm going to discuss with you now and visualize for you, but it is always helpful, even though you are required to watch the video lectures, and I hope that you do, that you also read the understanding concepts, or you click the immersive reader and it will read it out loud for you. And then you look through these links and you read the attached worksheets, you read the samples. All of these things help you gain greater context because we are not having face-to-face contact. We are not having in-class discussions. And these are those supplementary materials that add to your understanding of the project and the draft. So primary research, we'll start there. You may be thinking, what is primary research? Or maybe you know. So one of the most popular ones is a survey. And then there is observation. So there's other kinds, and other classes may even define primary research as something else. But for our class, these are the three. Oh, I was supposed to do all of them. Oh, it's too late. 11 o'clock, but survey, observation, interview. Those are the three choices you have to fulfill a research requirement for project 2. Yes, you need 5 text-based sources for sure. And to account for that 6th source, you need a primary source. And it has to be one of those. If it's a survey, you can distribute that via Twitter polls, Facebook, I think, does polls. There's a Reddit thread dedicated just for taking surveys. Monkey, emailing it. Forms. So we'll start with survey. So a survey, first, you should start with Google Forms, and you can type in Google Drive or Google Docs or whatever, and then you go to Forms. There's some right here at the top, and you can start from a template. I usually do that because it's easier. I don't like starting out on a blank slate. For me, it's too anxiety inducing. It seems like too much work. I'd rather work from a template. And that's why I always try to provide you guys with templates and examples, because it helps you gain that sense of control, or I can do this because someone else has done it and I can do it like that. So I really suggest that you click on one of the forms from their templates, and they have other ones. And then once you do that, you're going to be able to name, you're going to be able to edit it and name it, and kind of maybe give it a little like tagline, the way you would see on a book or a movie. Like, what is this about? Why am I taking this survey? Things your respondents might need to know, or maybe they don't need to know that much, but still a little tagline is really helpful. And then you start with the questions. So it will let you choose multiple choice, maybe check boxes, or if you just want them to type in answers, a really long one that it's paragraph, or a short answer, it's that. And then there's just different ways to represent it. And then if you do multiple choice, you start typing in your multiple choice questions, and then you can always keep adding options. And then you can denote if it's required or not. Like, do they have to answer this to move on? Yes or no? Usually you should make them required if it's a survey. It's just easier. If it's if it's something like input a text answer here or explain a little bit, then I can understand why you don't require it. But generally, you want to require all of them on a survey. And then you add sections as you go along. If you need them, I wouldn't add a section like this that says name because you want it to be anonymous. This was for a class thing I was doing and I needed to know their names. But for your surveys, you should keep it anonymous and just keep adding the multiple choice sections and or the short answer or paragraph answer sections. And then it is always helpful to leave a comment or question sort of box at the bottom. And you go here to customize it if you want. You can always upload an image here and pretty it up and change the color in the background. You can change the font style. And then sometimes that makes it look, it gives like that look and the feel to your survey if you want it. Or if you want it to look very serious. And then you go up here, and I wouldn't do the collect email addresses. It makes it harder for people. They don't like it. I wouldn't require sign in. Anything that makes it harder for a survey, ignore it. I wouldn't let them edit it after submitting it, but I would click this box, summary, charts, and text responses. And I'm going to show you why in a second, but I would click that. Presentation. This is so you can decide, do I want to show them a progress bar so they know what they're doing? Do you want to shuffle the order, show the link to submit another response? I don't know why you would, but maybe. And then so usually when you finish a survey, a little thing pops up and that's where you can type whatever you want there. And then I usually don't do this, but so you do that kind of stuff, you save it. And then you get, what I wanted to show you was, before you send it out, you need to test it. So that's where you copy the whole thing and you go to a different type of browser like Microsoft Edge. Put it in there, but when you put it in, you notice it has edit at the back end of it and you need to delete that. Otherwise, whoever is trying to respond to your survey, they're going to be able to edit it and they won't be able to take the survey. So you want to delete the edit part. And then you can see if it's going to work. And now you can take the survey and you can answer it and do all the. You know that it worked. You go back to it and now you know you can send it out. You can share the link correctly. And when you start to get responses, that's when it's fun. Because, and especially it shows you this, if you clicked that option, show the summary responses and charts or whatever, it creates this little visualization for you. And that is essential in helping you with another part of your project to assignment, which is include a data visualization of your primary research. And if you're conducting a survey, Google Forms will already do that for you, depending on the types of responses you're getting. It will only do it for multiple choice. So make sure you have at least one multiple choice and it will create a chart for you that you can just control print screen and you can put it into your draft later. You know, crop it and make it nice. finishing a part of your draft. And you won't have to worry next week when I'm showing the class, oh, here's how you can make your own data visualization. Google will do it for you, and you just have to worry about the correct caption type and all that stuff. So if you're doing a survey, I really, really suggest Google Forms. Into your survey, and that's why testing it is so important, because some students, they create it and then they haven't tested it and they're expecting responses and they tell me, oh, but nobody responded, and they didn't realize that, oh, it was locked the whole time. So that is an option. And there is also observation. So observation is car, and if you don't have a car or there's some other transportation issue, how can you go observe, overfishing, or how can you go observe the COVID vaccines being administered if that's your topic? So online observation is the way to go, and that means your topic, if it's like a product or it has a product component, or people posting forums like Reddit or some other, forum type that you, I don't know, Google question forum threads, something, or product forums about it. Tweets, super easy to access. You don't even have to really create a Twitter account, I don't think, to search tweets, and we'll look at that. Or if you want to use some other kind of digital tool where you have to input certain parameters to generate unique results, that can count as a sort of online observation. Because usually if you're conducting primary research, you go to the site, right? And you observe, and you're very scientific about it, and you write down what you're seeing. But it's not very practical, and it takes a long time. And doing something online, you're observing these spaces, these online spaces where users have already posted how they feel. And it's almost like you're surveying them, but not really, but they've put it in a public place. You can access it, or there's an online tool that encourages users to input their own parameters to generate their own results. And what does that do, and how does it apply to your topic? Well, I will show you some examples. For example, if your topic is about schools in Florida, and you've maybe chosen one or two to focus on, and you want to see what students and teachers are saying about that school, and you might type in the name of the school, the word reviews, and see what pops up. Cool, but we have one review, and so where is the user review? Okay, so what if you do type in review and you get a site like this that has just a bunch of stuff, and it doesn't look really like a person rated it or typed a review? That is what you're looking for. Because even though you're like, oh, but this is a survey and they're talking about other primary research for this class is not a survey that somebody else conducted, and it's not a chart that somebody else created, you have to go out and get that information and then make your chart about it later, if it applies to the type of primary research you're doing. And then you have to try to observe how are people feeling about a particular thing, and them writing out their review is really helpful. So it's harder to find online reviews where people are typing about a particular place, but if it's a product, that's a lot easier. So if there's a product associated with your topic, it's easier to find out about that, or maybe like company, and then you can go to something like Glassdoor that has reviews of different companies. If you want to know what the people who work at a particular company, what are they feeling? How will this help my topic? Because maybe your impacted population or your audience is like the people who work there or the specialists there. I think I have 1 or 2 students who they're looking into Google and their diversity initiatives or something. So maybe looking at what the employees have to say about it would be helpful to you. And you conduct your online research, your online observation that way, or you're like, this seems really hard. I can't do online observation. You can, a lot easier, but sometimes it produces varied results. If you go to Twitter, you go to the little search thing, you type in at least 2 words. So something about your topic. So maybe, you know, I'm trying to find out about COVID, specific COVID vaccines and what people are thinking about them in a certain place. And that's why I'm asking you to really narrow down your topic. Some of you have wide open topics and it's going to hurt you when you're researching. And I'm just thinking of you and trying to make it easier for you. If you typed in that Pfizer in Florida into Twitter, you bring up a whole lot and a whole lot to analyze. But sometimes analyzing these, like give yourself a certain number and then stop. So say I'm going to look at, I don't know, 10 of them and kind of look for a pattern, or what could it mean, or 5 of them have positive things to say and 2 of them have negatives, and what could that mean? So give yourself a number and then stop there and maybe take a screenshot or 2. And this is you observing. This is you conducting online observation, primary research, and it's part of what you'll have to do if you choose to do online observation. And you also have the choice of helping yourself analyze these text-based results through an online tool called Voyant. I might have shown you guys this before, I don't know. But so if you were to say, I'm going to look at 10 of these, and I'm going to copy and paste just the text from each 10 onto a Word doc, and I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it onto the Voyant Tools box, and I'm going to hit Reveal. And it's going to generate a word cloud that shows the prominent words. The bigger the word, the more it's mentioned in all that text. And if we go to here, it shows us the count, and it shows us the count right here of each word when it's mentioned. And then here it's really interesting, another visualization, but also how they're linked together. So I'm showing you this because it's a way to analyze the frequency of words, and maybe you're guesstimating what that could indicate among the users, among that small sample. And these are also data visualizations that you could screenshot draft for later. So this is, again, more forward thinking. You could look at the termsbury and see how the terms relate to one another, what it could indicate. You could look at the context, because it's just an easier way to kind of scan through the tweets and what could it mean that they're saying, where they got vaccinated. The word risk is mentioned in context with what. This is more like frequency and trends of the words, and it's more for like poetry analysis, so don't really worry about this document segment thing. It's still cool. Or this, and it's showing the different trends, and you could indicate what you could guesstimate as to what it means. But so these are ways to conduct the online research, and this extension, this Voyant tool option, using it in conjunction with Twitter, that's an option. You don't have to go through Voyant tools and look at these cool things. And I'm just showing you an option. But definitely Twitter or online reviews, that's a way you can conduct your online observation. As for Google Maps, their topic was looking into a specific area and looking up gyms in the area or banks. And they wanted to see how many were in a particular area, because they were looking at maybe access to economic to banks in a particular area for whatever reason, because they were talking about poverty-stricken areas, or how it's harder to get to a bank, or it's more affluent in this area because of the banks. Either way, they have observed that, the same as if they were driving to these places to go analyze it. And for later, you could control print screen, and you could and that's a way to show me that you got your primary research. So we've covered survey, we've covered online observation. I showed you Google Maps, but there's other online tools where you're inputting the parameters, you're getting unique results, and you could use that too. Google Maps is just the only thing I could think of right now. There's also an interview. And that's if there's a academic or a stakeholder that either maybe you know a person, or you've heard of them, or you feel like you could reach out to them and they would respond, or they used to be a teacher or something. So if you decide instead you don't want to bother with a survey, you don't want to bother with an online observation, you can choose instead for P2 to conduct an interview. There's no limit on the number of questions you ask somebody, but I would keep it pretty short, and you should be emailing or phoning them and not trying to meet them in person. So if you conduct an interview, the way you would go about that is, who are you going to interview? And if you were thinking about, okay, I'm going to interview somebody from a school, maybe the principal, because I'm looking into how leaders, whatever, so your topic is school and you need to interview the principal. So you type in you type in the school name, you get the information to pop up where you can you call them and you can ask for the principal and see if they're amenable to like a 5 or 10 minute Q&A session. You tell them it's for school, or you look up contact page and it will bring up their email for you, and you email and see if you get a response. Interviews, it seems like easier, right? Rather than messing with all this crap. But they're harder because it's hard to find somebody who's going to answer your questions and who's going to answer them on time and with some substance. So if you do an interview, have online observation or a survey in the back of your mind as a fallback. And really, for any one of these three, I would say tweets are a fallback in general. No one responds to your survey at all, and you're like, I don't have any friggin' primary research. Yes, you do. You could, what's your fallback? It could be looking at tweets on your topic. And what could that indicate? No one is responding to your interview. Hey, there's tweets. They're there. They're already there. People are tweeting every single flipping day. You have something, or Reddit. You have ways of conducting primary research quickly, and that is the point. How quickly can you do it, and how and why is it relevant to your topic? Not just, oh, it's cool because I'm going to use Twitter and blah, 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 but how will that help your topic, and what could it indicate? What other piece of the puzzle is it going to help solve about your topic? I'm going to highlight this if my mouse will allow. What doesn't count as primary research? These three things do not count. And yet every semester, at least 3 or more students per class try to submit that type of thing as their primary research, and they're mystified when I give them a 0 or a partial credit on exercise they've turned in or their rough draft because they didn't complete it correctly. Okay. So primary research, there's other guides here to help you, and you should review them. And you should review them because they have examples and they have the links. So SurveyMonkey link, Google form link, the Reddit survey forum link is super cool because once you post your survey here, and you should also pay it forward and take other surveys, you don't know how many responses you get, and it's going to be helpful. Post your survey to more than one place. So post it here, email it to friends, post it to your Facebook, post it to Twitter polls, post it everywhere so you get the maximum possible number of responses. And then you should look at the do's and don'ts, which are helpful for conducting a survey, and it will help with your expectations. And it will show you something really cool, one more online tool that you could use to conduct your online observation, tweet map, which is kind of a geographical way to look at tweets if that matters to you in any way and your topic. So if you type in, you don't need to type in the location, because once you type that in, it's going to show you the prevalence for the tweets in a particular place over a particular period of time, and you can move this around and it will change it up and change the number of tweets. You can see the lights decreasing there, and it will change the top hashtags here. It will change the number, and then you keep zooming in, and maybe you're concentrating on Florida. That's just my fallback. I'm not obsessed with Florida. And then once you get really close and you're on those little dots and you hover over them, it shows you what it says, and that's cool. But also people have used this as their control print screen to show me proof of their primary research, because the tweet map is an online tool where you input parameters to generate your unique observations, and it counts as online observation. You can go to this chloropleth thing and it shows you the percentage of tweets in a certain place. So that's nifty. And then you click easier way kind of than Twitter, because you get rid of all those GIFs and stuff, what people had to say. And it's also an easier way to copy and paste a bunch of text to then put into Voyant tools for later, if you were going to use that and you don't have to. And then there's 2 worksheets here to look at, and this worksheet shows you more about how to use that OmniSci tweet map if you wanted to use it. And then there's examples here of students who successfully integrated primary research into their essays and showed me that. Here's someone who used online reviews and spoke about it and what it meant. And then they even indicated how many number of tweets they looked at and what that could mean. Here's somebody who got some reviews about a particular center and what that meant to their topic and how it was a problem. Somebody got a review of KFC and what it indicated for their topic. Someone did use Voyant tools, and they talked about the sample size. They looked at 15 reviews. Again, getting a certain number in mind when you're going to do something like this will help you a lot. Another person who used Voyant, looking at the trends and the words and what it could mean. Somebody else who they got online reviews, Voyant tools again. Someone used the OmniSci Twitter map and they looked at posts in a particular area and what it could mean. So there are definitive ways that you can, as a student, utilize the primary research methods I just showed you and how it could add to project 2. And the data visualization thing, I briefly mentioned it, but I think you're kind of getting an idea that it's going to be easier than you think. And we're going to really go over it in detail next module. So zooming out to the assignment, let's look at that. It's broken down into parts, but the basic premise is you've already written that 2-paragraph annotation style. You're doing it again for a third academic article about your topic. So you have all those 6 articles to choose from your initial annotations. Choose a third one from that same mini annotation list that you did it's like 1 sentence about each source. Now you're expanding it to 2 paragraphs about that one source. You're also adding 2 sentences of synthesis for how it connects to your other sources. And then you're reviewing the attached worksheet. The attached worksheet has 5 questions. You're going to answer all 5 questions. And instead of printing out the worksheet or sending me a picture of it, you're just going to attach your questions on one cumulative document. So all of these parts should be on one document. Your annotation should be on here. And then questions 1 through 5 that you answered from the worksheet. If you have any questions for me, password from the video. Password for the video for this week is Dobby. And then really the last two things, it says part 5 and part 5. I need to fix that. So the last thing is starting your survey or starting your online interview or starting your online observation. You need to start it right away. And then if you did decide to do a survey and you have the link, then there is a doc that you can post it to with a bunch of tips on there that you shouldn't just not read them. They're important. But once you read through those, you're going to add yours with a small, just a phrase. What is it about? And then you're going to post the link, and that's it. And then once this starts to fill up, kind of check on it periodically. Be a pal and take the surveys that are there. Because that way, maybe we get 20 on here, at least you might get 20 responses. And then even if you are not using a survey, you should visit the doc and try to take some of those to help your fellow classmates. And the form you submit should be in either MLA or APA format. And that is it for day 1. And I apologize for being so long.